and I'm the chairman of LP Rossy Masjid, or mosque. Masjid, we call it masjid, it's the Arabic for a place of prostrate.
Oh, I did wonder about that, because you see that word a lot.
Yeah, masjid, it literally means a place where you can prostrate.
Yeah, okay. So obviously this debate has come up on Facebook about whether women should be accommodated for this Eid. Can you just explain the reason behind why you're unable to?
Yeah, so it's not a matter of whether they should or shouldn't. Yes, we should accommodate women, but logistically, we're a mosque that was designed in the 89-90s where women didn't really play an active role in the community or in the life of the mosque. So we're kind of restricted by design in terms of the facilities for the women here. What it boils down to is, prioritizing for those whom certain religious duties are obligatory. And when it comes to Friday prayer, for example, or the Eid prayer, it is personally obligatory upon men to offer those prayers, and women are exempt from that obligation. So when it comes to these events, then we would have to prioritize the men to fulfill their obligations, and if able to do so, we would then provide space for women as well.
All right.
So we do accommodate women on the second Friday prayer, because the rush isn't that much, and then during Eid, occasionally we have managed to accommodate them when Eid has been during the working week, when people sort of rush back to work and what have you. And we are looking at ways of trying to open up the space for women, but as I said, we are restricted by the current spaces as well. And as you can see today, it's overcast, it's been raining, the mosque has been full. We've had to put out a mat outside. It's not pleasant praying outside in the rain and in the wet. So, so if it's an obligation for the men to fulfill that, we have to kind of prioritize them. Unfortunately, that's the reality of the situation.
Is there some level of interpretation of the text here?
Not
because having spoken to somebody in Oxford today who is a Muslim, he said that he reads it differently, and that everyone should be allowed to celebrate Eid.
Okay, so just talking about allowed or not, it's not we're disallowing. We have to give priority upon whom it is obligatory. So, for example, if you have Eid in an open space, of course, families, husbands and wives and daughters, nieces, they would all come. But nobody would restrict them. It's not about being allowed or not being allowed. It's the practicalities of a building like this that has restricted facilities and is absolutely jam-packed. I mean, you'll see tomorrow, if you were here, you would have like double parking. We'll have maybe, 5 or 6 rows outside, maybe rows along here. It's just absolute chaos.
I guess that by the fact that you said that you can't accommodate them this year, they will, some women will feel that they are not allowed to attend.
And that is definitely not the case. I do hope that they understand the situation we're in. Look, as a new committee, we've been a committee now for about 6 months. Obviously, it takes time to kind of get your feet under the table and understand what the situation on the ground is. Once you get a view of that, you can then start looking at strategies to alleviate some of these problems. And one of the things is that we are restricted for space, and so we are looking at either perhaps extending the mosque and creating that space for women, or redeveloping the land that we've got adjacent to the mosque into some kind of a community centre. And hopefully once we can get that through, this will not be a problem.
Some have suggested, I noticed on Facebook, someone said, why not do a booking system? Or have it, I know the weather's not in your favour, but have it in an open air park, for example, where space isn't a problem.
I mean, certainly the open air park idea, we are certainly looking into that. I mean, that is an option. But again, I think as I mentioned to you in our phone call, that what happens is Ramadan gets 10 days earlier every year. So next year Ramadan will be 10 days earlier, and look, we're already in a rainy season, and obviously cold, rain, snow. Doing it out in an open park is probably not going to be an option for at least, I think, another 20-25 years when Ramadan comes back round into the summer months. But certainly we can do that. Now, we have 2 Eids in a year, so perhaps maybe on the next Eid, that's something we can look at, is how we can make this much more of a family affair, if you like. When I was younger, back in the say 80s, I think, we used to pray in a church hall, which was probably not much bigger than this area of the car park. And we used to go with my dad, and the women were not used to going out. They were not used to engaging in society. So obviously times have changed. my own sisters, my nieces, my daughter, they're very strong, opinionated women, which we like. I like to be challenged. When they ask me why can't we come to mosque and I explain the situation, most of them understand. And I think what you find on the Facebook post is that all the local women, they absolutely understand the situation, and they're cutting us some slack. But they will expect us to kind of cater for them at some stage, so it's going to keep us on our toes.
Yeah, send him in.
Yeah, as I was saying, having spoken to Imam Marwa Hussain in Oxford, he said there are different ways to interpret the text though about who is obligated to come and pray, and he doesn't believe that men are obligated and women aren't. He believes that it's wrong to exclude people in this day and age, and it actually goes against the whole sense of Ramadan being about community and bringing everyone together.
Now, I'm not a religious scholar, but my understanding is that there is no difference of opinion on what is obligatory for men and what is obligatory for women. It's not about exclusion. I mean, quite clearly on a number of occasions I've explained that. It's logistics. And trying to cater for such a large amount is difficult enough as it is, and to add maybe I don't know how many women would attend. If it's 200, 300, 400 additional. I mean, we're overwhelmed as it is. So, but as far as I'm not an Islamic scholar, so I can't really comment in detail on that.
But going forward, you say you would look at maybe other options.
Absolutely.
Would maybe doing a booking system.
The booking system, again, look, none of us are paid. Right? I'm a voluntary chair. It's pretty much a full-time job. Family life, my professional life, and mosque life. I don't have time to do anything else, and so we're reliant on volunteers. A booking system, we can certainly consider it, but again, that would mean then, if we go by the fact that the rituals on Eid and Friday are obligatory for men, to exclude somebody upon whom something is obligatory would then make us all sinful.
Okay, that's the interpretation. Okay.
But it'd be interesting to see what how he's arrived at that conclusion.
Yeah.
I mean, without any detail, you can't really we can't discuss it because you don't have the context for it either.
No, I mean, I think his view was that in this day and age, in Great Britain, when equality is very much what people talk about and what they strive for, then this kind of goes against that. That's
No, I don't see it that way. I mean, at the end of the day, a religion has its rituals, it has its legalities, it has its jurisprudence, and as far as I can see, it's quite clear as to what men's obligations are and what women's obligations are. Like I said, it'd be interesting to find out from this Imam in Oxford actually how he's arrived at his conclusion. As I said, I'm not an Islamic scholar, so I'm not in any position to actually give a clear cut. And he might have a valid opinion, but that I would have to check that with somebody who's far more knowledgeable than me.
So just to sort of conclude, I suppose, because we're only going to take a clip from this. You're happy then with the decision this year to say, sorry, we can't accommodate women, we're not able to because of the restrictions.
Well, I mean, I'm not jumping with joy. Happy, I wouldn't use the word happy.
You're sticking to that decision.
I'm reluctantly yes, because it would just. I mean, we only have 6, 7, 8 volunteers. It would just overwhelm us. But for the next Eid, we're certainly going to consider doing this, inshallah.
In where, sorry?
For the next Eid, that I think happens in June. So we're going to look at ways where we can incorporate our women's social system.
And I think on the phone you mentioned you've had some women saying, they're in support of this.
Absolutely.
They understand it. Tell me about what they said to you.
They basically said that the 6 months that we've been in charge now, they said that's the best that they've experienced the most, and that they understand the logistical aspects that they attend the mosque regularly, so they've been coming for. During Ramadan, for 30 days, we have night prayers where the Imam recites the whole Quran from start to finish, a little bit each day until the Quran is completed. And we've had the mosque the women's section of the mosque has been packed. And so they've been coming and experiencing the mosque throughout the course of Ramadan with no issues whatsoever. And so, they've personally thanked me and the committee to facilitate that.
Yeah, okay. Sure. I guess from an outsider's perspective, I'm not Muslim. Can you see how it could be interpreted?
Oh, of course.
That women are being treated differently.
No, of course. I mean, we're living in that age where we are very keenly focused on these issues. but it isn't. It's definitely not a discriminatory thing. There's religious obligations. There are legal and I suppose juristic rulings on these matters, and it's not about telling women they can't come. They are welcome to the mosque. It's just that if logistically we could accommodate that, we would have no issues whatsoever. I don't think there's anybody here would prevent any women from coming to the mosque. Yeah.
Perfect. Is there anything else that you want to say which I haven't asked you? I mean, I think you've covered it, but if there's something you wanted to say, just the opportunity.
Anything of anything, Tayyip? No, like I said, we're working very hard, in consultation with women of the community. And the thing is, like I said, we're a very close-knit community, so everybody knows everybody. And there are a lot of families and extended families. There's interrelationships. There's business dealings with people, and the women folk are very much part and parcel of that. And so, I've urged the women of our community that if there are any issues that they want the mosque to address, reach out. I'm there. I'm really happy that they want to engage with the mosque more. At the end of the day, they're stakeholders. They send their kids here. Right? So yeah, they're stakeholders in the community. So to exclude them doesn't make sense, right? So,
That's lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy.